we want these candidates to hear 4 specific questions, and we want them to reply to all 4 questions. In between those 4 rounds of questions, I'm going to sandwich random questions put in, and we are going to randomly pick candidates out here, and Mary Beth over there is going to pull random questions out of a hat, and we're going to have you answer them. Each question will give you 90 seconds to answer. Over here, this gentleman will hold up a paddle that says 30 seconds when there's 30 seconds left, 10 seconds when there's 10 seconds left, and then a frowny face when you're out of time. That's pretty much it. Any questions? You're going to need this. Hello. Hello. All right, folks, we're going to give you 1 minute each to just give a brief introduction of who you are, why are you running for Senate, and any other opening remarks that you want to make. Please take it away, sir.
Well, my name is Clark Durant. I am running for the United States Senate because I love my country and my country is in trouble. When we made the decision, Susan and I together, we recognized that American exceptionalism is not 2 words. It's the living out of an idea that freedom works. I've been asked by Ronald Reagan to serve and try to solve very difficult problems, and did it. I was asked to support Ronald Reagan in 1976 and took on the establishment, and did it. And started a school in the inner city of Detroit to bring freedom and the Constitution and our Declaration of Independence to kids that never heard it before. I believe if we're going to be in the United States Senate, that we need to lead a discussion that brings our country, that restores our liberty and all of the prerogatives, what it means to be a free people. Less taxes, less spending, less government, and more freedom. And all of you who've ever read Imprimis, I started that 40 years ago to bring freedom around the world.
I'm Scotty Bowman, and I'm running for an office that is defined in the Constitution. As such, it is not up to me to pick and choose which parts of the Constitution I agree with and which to comply with. I must uphold all of it. People have certain unalienable rights. Included in there are some rights that are also protected by the Constitution. One of those rights is freedom of religion. We need to realize that in a constitutionally limited republic, unlike a pure democracy, minorities have rights that are protected. Even Muslims have a right to practice their religion. Likewise, we have a right to equal protection under the law. The law should be fair. That means everybody, even people that some of you may not like homosexuals, are entitled to equal protection under the law. So, I want to be a senator that respects the Constitution, and can be everybody's senator, not just the popular people, not just the majority, but a senator for all Americans and their individual rights.
Good evening. My name is Randy Heckman from Grand Rapids, and I am so encouraged to see the number of people in this room. Because this is the only way that we're going to be able to turn this thing around, is that everybody gets involved to do their part. You say, why am I running for this office? I brought a prop with me today. It's actually a wrench. Some of you in the back can't see it. And it's really far too small. In fact, I was speaking in western Washtenaw County last week. They said you need a much bigger wrench to go to Washington. And we do. And the reality is that this war that we need to face, this country we need to fix, we need to do it on 2 fronts. One of those is definitely in Washington. We're going to be spending much of our time talking about it. But the other front is in the people. Because you see, government is a lagging indicator of where our culture is. And American culture, is it healthy today? No, it's not. We need to change that, not through legislation, but through us and our choices. So I look forward to tonight. It's going to be fun together. Thank you.
My name is Pete Konecki. The toughest part of my campaign is having people understand my name, so I just want to go through it. The name's Konecki, K-O, Ko, N-E-T-C-H, Nech, Y-E, Konecki. I'm running for U.S. Senate because I know this country is the greatest nation in the world. Why do you think this country is the greatest nation in the world? Is it because of government? No. No, it's not. It's because We have a severely limited constitutional government. And that severely limited constitutional government unleashed the unlimited potential of a free people. And the free people are what drove this nation into greatness. My wife, Jana, she comes to me to every meeting. She actually grew up in the Salt-Gate Union, so she's well aware of what a state-controlled society can do. She's seen government health care, she's seen government education, she's seen government employment. So that's what I don't want to happen here. So again, my name is Pete Knietche. I'm running for U.S. Senate. I hope you listen to what I have to say tonight.
First of all, I am a Christian. So I say, with full measure of my words, thank God for the Tea Party movement. Who I believe the Lord has raised up to bring our country back from the brink of socialism. Thank God. I was raised by a World War II Marine who survived the attack on Pearl Harbor. I've stood with him in the street where he remembered shooting at Japanese airplanes. It was my dad who, through the example of his life, taught me to love my country. And everything we've been taught to love about our country, our liberty, our Judeo-Christian founding principles, our strength and security in our free enterprise economy are at risk from within. If Barack Obama and Debbie Stabenow are given another term and a chance to finish the job, they threaten to take away my children's birthright of freedom and turn this country into the United Socialist States of America, and we and our children may never get a free country back. I'm committed to stopping them. I hope you'll stand with me. Gary Glenn for U.S. Senate.
Hi, my name's Chuck Marino. I'm from Livingston County, where our claim to fame is we're the county with the lowest taxes in Michigan. However, I grew up in Detroit and Northville, and after the high school, I joined the U.S. Marine Corps, where I learned duty to God, country, and family. During my career, I ran 2 international companies and 2 national companies. Ronald Reagan said, freedom is generational. It's not in your bloodline. It's not something you inherit. It's something you need to fight for. The current administration and Debbie Stabenow has given us, or has eroded our freedoms, given us a $15 trillion debt, and has caused massive unemployment. It's obvious that the people in Washington are out of touch with us. We need to send Debbie packing, and we need to let her know enough is enough. Thank you very much.
Candidates, thank you very much for your opening remarks. Again, we're going to have 4 rounds of standard questions with random questions sandwiched in between. Each round, we're going to shift the microphone over 2 chairs. So, sir, if we can start with Mr. Durant over there. Each round is going to have its own topic. The first is going to be on taxes. And like I said, each question is going to be the same for each candidate. Out of the GOP presidential candidate plans for taxes, which one do you like the best? Which one do you like the worst? Or do you believe something different, like Rand Paul's penny plan, would be best?
Well, I believe that the government is not underfunded, it's overfunded. And I believe that the American taxpayer and the taxpayer of Michigan, too much is being taken away. So I believe in any tax plan that brings about less taxes, makes it simpler, fairer, throws out the IRS code. No tax code should be longer than our Constitution. And I think that and everybody's got to participate. And when General Electric can file a 56,000-page tax return, make more than $14 billion and pay no taxes, it's one more example that crony capitalism is in our tax code, not just in our energy department. So I support any tax reform that reduces taxes across the board, simplifies the rates, reduces them, eliminates capital gains, eliminates the death tax, and makes it possible for people to keep more of what they earn. So I think all of the candidates are offering something that moves the conversation to reduce the taxes. Anything that takes the burden off the American people and allows people to keep more of what they earn. And I think that's closer to a flat tax, and let's eliminate all of these extra agents at the IRS. Thank you very much.
you. Mr. Bowman.
The question was, which presidential candidate's tax plan do I like the most? And my quick answer is Ron Paul's. Basically, it starts with cutting spending, and cutting spending immensely. He's the only candidate who has a plan that does that. And he's the only candidate that takes into account the leviathan of our huge military budget that's a result of our interventionist foreign policy. Furthermore, what's involved there? Ultimately eliminating the income tax and not replacing it with another tax, but rather by cutting spending down and shrinking the level of government to such a low level that it no longer requires it. Now furthermore, I have personal ideas for other forms of revenue in addition to taxation. One of those, for instance, can be what some people call contract insurance. To summarize what it is, what would happen is when people enter into a contract, they're asking the government to enforce it. If they want the government to enforce it, then they need to pay a percentage of the amount of money that's at stake. And thereby, they voluntarily, by choosing to use the government services, have opted into a tax. Those not choosing that service don't have to pay the tax. And so in other words, it isn't even really a tax, it's a voluntary fee that people can opt not to pay.
Thank you, sir.
Don't you wish that we didn't have to talk about taxes? You know, actually, in 1900, the average tax load for a typical family in America, we're talking local, state, and federal, was 6% of their income. Now it's pushing 40, upwards of 40%. And why is that? It's because, again, government, that's the problem. I mean, the net result is that we've got taxes in every direction, and they're not fair. They need to be fairly applied across the board. We've had this incestuous relationship between lobbyists, between corporations, lobbyists, and legislators. It's spelled out, for example, in Jack Abramoff's book. I highly recommend it, by the way. Capital Punishment, great book. He spent 43 months in prison for going a little bit overboard in this thing, and he's concluded that PAC money, while legal and widespread throughout our country and our nation, is nonetheless a bribe. I was a judge, and to me it's unseemly. I'm not taking PAC money of any kind. But getting back to the question, I favor the fair tax. Anyone else favor that in this room? It would require the elimination of the 16th Amendment, which is going to be a challenge, but in the interim, there's a lot of loopholes. We need we need to lower and broaden our tax system. It's going to take a lot of work, but it's something we need to do. We got to cut the cost of government even more importantly. Thanks.